Hey, what's going on guys? Mark back in the workshop on Mark's Aquatics. On today's little video I thought we'd talk about a little bit about the koi, and I'll show you the other little tanks and things that's been going on around in the workshop here, bring you up to speed on a few of the fry that we've been bringing on, and I've separated the shrimp out now from the bench tank as well. So there's been a few little alterations been going on in the workshop here at the moment. So these little guys are on their wheat germ food now for the autumn, starting to slow them down on the protein. Obviously the water temperature's dropping away now. It's only about 14 degrees now, and it's getting colder. So we got them on the wheat germ and the garlic, which I suggest you guys do in the UK now if your temperatures are dropping down, and start making sure that garlic is going to boost up their little immune systems, and it's a lot easier for them to digest as well, so they're not going to get blocked up in their little tummies with food and have problems as the temperature drops. But anything below 10 degrees guys, as I've said before on many of the videos that I've done on the koi and ponds, goldfish in general in ponds, when it drops below 10 degrees don't feed them, because they can't digest the food and it will sit in their stomachs and rot and cause them a very untimely death, and it's not very nice for them at all. So get them on the wheat germ, and garlic. I use the stuff by NT Labs, which is really good, I find. Keeps them nice and healthy, and as you can see they make short work of it. So we'll give them a few more bits. Right, I'm going to set you up on the on my little paludarium now, so you can see that and we can have a little chat about that. There you go, we're up on Jack's paludarium now. Sadly Jack passed away, as a lot of you guys know, and so we've got his little boy in there now, and through popular demand, as he's Jack's son, you've all decided you're going to call him Jackson. So that's what he's called. I thought that was fantastic, Jackson. I thought, there you go, lovely name. So that is it now, mate. Your little name is Jackson. You can see he's starting to come on lovely now. He's trying to get those bands of colour through his tail, through his fins, and he's really starting to come into his own now. I've just given him a few little bits of bug bites, which he loves, just like his dad, and the shrimp like those as well. Got quite a few of those yellow sakuras in there now. I'll show you a few more of those guys in a minute, because I've stripped the bench tank down. Well, I haven't stripped it down, I've given it a good clean out, and I've removed a lot of the fish that were in there, and I've taken a lot of them back to the shop, the zebra danios and a few of the other fish I've taken off as well. Taking some of those guys in for some credit, so we can get some more stuff and maybe buy a little bit more food, and that's what I tend to do with the fish. But we've taken a lot of that, so the bench tank now is cleaned right out. What I've done is I've taken all the stuff out which I've wanted to like rehome, take back to the shop, and I've kept all the things, the nice colourful ones that I think I might be able to rebreed again, and maybe line breed some stuff later on, maybe in the spring again when I start breeding the fish again for you. As I said, I'm stopping to breeding the fish now in the workshop here because it's getting quite cold, and I'm running those tanks down because it does cost quite a lot of money to keep all these heaters going, and when you've got as many things as I've got running, the price does start creeping up after a while, and the wife starts shouting at me. So I've got to slowly run things down. But little Jackson there, looking lovely. Beautiful colours coming out on him. You can have a little look from the top, and you can see that beautiful colour, that lovely turquoisey blue which is coming out in his fins. And he's a happy little boy in there, and it's nice to come back into the workshop and feed these little guys, because I did miss feeding his dad. It's like I said before guys, you know, when you get a fish and first thing in the morning you come in, you're feeding them, they're waiting for you, because I feed the same time every day, and they get accustomed to feeding at a certain time, just like most fish do in aquariums. They notice your presence when you come in, and it's fantastic. And I was missing feeding him. I kept going to this paludarium, his little tank here, and he wasn't in there, and I was like, oh. But now his boy's here, so that's good news. So we can start all over again. All the shrimp are doing well, as you can see, all whizzing around down in the bottom in that dwarf sage. Quite a few buried females in there, which he's going to eat, no doubt, but there's a lot of cover in there. And all around in the back here, there's lots of holes and things that go right around the back when he can't get in there, but the baby shrimp can go up in there, put on a bit of size, and then come out when they venture out, as all these guys have done, because there wasn't that many in there, but they keep coming out and they get bigger and bigger as they shed. And you can see there's some smaller ones down here. When they get to about that size, they come out, and he can't get them then. The funny thing was, Jack was actually, he left them alone. I've seen him literally swimming past little tiny shrimplets before, and he never ever worried them at all for some reason. He was a very placid nature. And maybe his son here will be the same, which will be nice. Pop in a few more little bits for him, because what he doesn't eat. Come on in. What he doesn't eat, the shrimps clean up. That's why I keep them in there with him. Got a little zebra danio in there, which I can't catch. He's murder. Every time I try and catch him, he shoots off behind the plants and things, and I can't get him out. So he can stay in there for the time being. Right, what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to set you up onto this other tank where the little gold rams are. Quite a few of them haven't made it. Some of them have. I think we've still got about maybe 15 or 16 of them left. But I'll just set you up on that tank now and we'll have a look at that, okay? Right, guys, there you go. There's a couple of yellow sakuras for you. I've taken them all out of the bench tank, because what I've done is I've put the angelfish inside into the bench tank. Now, angelfish, as I've said on the breeding of the angelfish video, they are highly predatory fish, and they will they'll take out shrimp very, very quickly and very easily. They'll slowly move in on them, and then bang, that extendable jaw will come out and they'll nail them in seconds. So I've had to take them out. I've left a couple in there just to see how they go. As you can see, we've got no end of yellow sakura shrimp in here, which I've taken out. And it's surprising when you take them out of a 6-foot tank and put them into this little sort of 13-inch cube which I built here a while back, how many you get. And there was lots and lots of buried females in here when I put them in, and I'm not sure if you can see all over the glass there on the side there, but there's little shrimplets all over the place already, in the ribs, in amongst the sponge filter as well. I've got a couple of bits of food here. That's the stuff I make, and I've got lots of videos on how to make shrimp food if you guys want to go back and have a look. You can copy it, and now's the time to do it as well. So I'll drop a couple of bits of that in there, and you'll see how crazy they go for it. Sorry if I banged anyone on the head. There you are. They'll soon get to work on that, and you'll see there'll be a seething mass all over that in no time at all. They're all over the side of the tank as well. You can see the baby gold rams still swimming around. There's more than that actually. There's quite a few at the back under the sponge filter, which I can see from here. You can't see because it's behind the Anubias plants and at the back there. But there's quite a few in there, and they're doing really well. Like I say, the strong ones are going to survive, and the weak ones won't. And but the shrimp aren't going to. They don't hassle them at all. And any that do die, the shrimp will consume the bodies, and they'll clean up around the place. You can see they're all over that food already, and it won't be, as we keep talking about it, they're just going to swarm all over that stuff. And now's the time, guys. You want to get out there because you've got some lovely autumn leaves falling. You've got the hazel leaves, you've got your oak leaves, you've got lots of different leaves out there which you can use, and which you can make your own food, and it's going to take you all the way through the winter. Like I say, I've got videos on how to make shrimp food, shrimp lollies, shrimp, all sorts of stuff that I've done last year when I was concentrating more on the shrimps and going through that series. But now's the time to make the food up. Super easy to do it. Just get the leaves, I just dry them in the oven and then bring them out. Go and watch a video. I'll link it in the description how to do it. And you literally just blitz it up in a blender into a powder, and you make your own paste out. You can roll it out, add a few bits if you want to. That shrimp falling at the back there, look, he's just holding, I'm not sure if he was in view then, holding onto a bit of duckweed, just slowly floating down with it. But yeah, you can see they're a lovely condition. Same tank parameters in here as they were in the bench tank. The bench tank pH is around 6.5, 7, which is fine for these guys. It's a TDS in there of around, I'd say around 250, maybe 300. And these guys will do fine in that TDS. But the little gold rams are doing extremely well in there, the ones that have survived, and they're going to be the strong ones. So hopefully we can bring them on and we can have some adults. I've put the 2 adult rams in the shrimp room and I put them into my king tiger tank, because they'll clean up all the little bits in amongst all the pots where the Plex can't reach. So they're doing a good job in there, and they're not hassling any of the tetras in there either, so they're quite happy in amongst that lot. Just got some more eggs from the king tigers as well, which is exciting news. So they're like little bars of gold running around in here. You can see the saddled females. I'll get closer in for you onto the mass. There you go. A nice little gang of shrimps, and there's still no end of them up on the glass, and they're all heading down this way because they can smell that food coming up in the water column now, so they're all migrating towards it. And it is nice to see them when they feed like this. If you do keep shrimps, guys, don't feed them too much, because they're going to feed on the biofilm in the tank, which is that film that builds up on the leaves, stones, on the media, sponge filters, on the glass, everywhere. And that's what you'll find. Their little legs will be whizzing around. You'll see those little tiny pincers going, scraping it off and passing it into their mouths. But you can see now all the little bits that are coming off where they're having a go at it. You've got those little gold rams which are patiently waiting above. Any little bits that come up, they're going to be grabbing that out of the water column as well. One of my favourite shrimps, the yellow sakuras. A nice buried female there right in front. She's packed out with berries there. And you can tell the males and the females apart, if you didn't know, guys. If you look at them when they get to this side, if you look at the back of the heads, like on that one there, you can see that little gold little piece around from the back of the head onto the abdomen there, you see, and that's called a saddle, just like the saddle of a horse. Now that's the ovaries of the female shrimp. Okay, in the clear shrimps like these, a lot of the Neocaridina shrimp, you can see the little saddle in there. Now that's the ovaries. That's where the eggs are produced. You can see that female down here with a lot of berries down here as well. There's 2 of them together. Another one here. Oh, another one just out of frame actually. But there's quite a few in there. But that's how you tell the females. They're a bit more humped in the back, and if you look closely, that little second scale back is a big dish shape, like a frying pan shape, and that'll tell you that's a female, and the males are more straight. Loads of guys out there that are breeding shrimps, and go and look at their channels if you want if you need a little bit more knowledge on them. As I say, I'm not concentrating on them as such at the moment, but I have done in previous videos, so you can pop back and look at those if you need to, on how to breed them and all that stuff, all that good stuff that we do here on Marks Aquatics. But I do love the shrimp, and what I tend to do when I get a colony of this size going, I'll start up a new tank, cycle it, pull out about 6 or 7 pregnant females, put them in that tank and start off a new colony. Because what you'll find is with shrimp is they'll get to a certain size in the colony and they'll crash, and you'll end up with a lot dying and they won't breed as well. It's like when you put them in a new tank, they go crazy and they just bloom, because it's a new tank, new biofilm, everything's new, and they breed like crazy. But after a while, when the biofilm slows down a bit and the tank gets a little bit more old, they tend not to breed as well. So I just start off these little splinter colonies everywhere, and you could end up with absolutely thousands of them, as you can see there. Loads of little shrimp up in the water column as well now. I'll try and get you a view of some of the baby ones. They're very hard to see actually. You can see them one right there, look. Little tiny ones, and they're all over the leaves. And they do an amazing job of cleaning up. If you've got a nice little tank where it's a real peaceful tank, but you haven't got any bigger fish in there that are going to predate on these, Neo-Caridina shrimp are the way to go. You know, you get the blue velvets, you get the Bloody Marys, there's so many different types out there. Pumpkins, there's this Halloween on the way. They're lovely little shrimps as well. And they are really, really interesting little guys to breed, and they're quite comical to watch as well when you see them squabbling over food like this. It's lovely to watch, it really is. Especially in a nice little peaceful tank somewhere. They make great little office tanks. Great for people in university as well, which are in halls and in your digs. You can get a nice little tank set up with a few shrimp in and breed them, and it's a really interesting thing to watch when you're doing your own work, or just in general, really. Look at that. Right guys, what I'm going to do now, we had a sneaky breed as well. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set you up on the angelfish. I'm going to have a little look at the angelfish on the fry and see how they're going, okay? So, right guys, there you go. There's the angelfish. Now then, the unexpected extra fry that we had was some more angelfish fry. I set the tank up, obviously with the others in, took the female out and the male, I was setting up the bench tank ready for the male and female to go in, and then I came in the morning and they'd laid a load more eggs on the slate. So I've let those hatch with them, and now I've moved them into the bench tank. As you can see, there's no end of fry down there. We've got two different sizes. Obviously these ones up here are the more from the first batch, and you've got little pockets down here and down here, some at the backs, some behind there. There is hundreds of them in there. I'm going to be inundated with angelfish fry now, but these things do happen. Once they're in there, I could have put the slate in the main tank and let the other fish eat them, but I thought, oh well, I'll bring them on, and then we'll have loads more to take to the shops. Obviously some of them don't survive. There is a mortality rate. The strong survive, the weak won't. Water changes wise, guys, I'm doing sort of a 50% water change twice a week, okay? That's half the tank twice a week with fresh dechlorinated water to keep the water conditions nice, because if you keep the water pristine, your fry are going to grow better, and you're going to have better health, obviously, as well. Keep your eye out for little things like hydra in your tanks as well. I noticed there was a couple on my leaves earlier, but these are a little bit big now to be worried by those. They're the tiny little anemone looking chaps that you see on your leaves. If you do see them, and especially if you've got shrimp, guys, get them out straight away, because they will prey upon shrimplets and eat them as well. And the reason why you get hydra in a tank is because nearly 100% of the time it's overfeeding, and that is what happens. You know, the food is in the water column, and they go ballistic. They just go absolutely crazy, the hydra, and they breed and they go everywhere. But they will they won't do your fish any harm or anything like that. But as far as little tiny fry go, especially little tiny egg laying fry and things like that, they will predate on them, sting them and kill them and consume them. So you don't want that in your tank. You don't want those little guys in your tank, especially in a fry tank. But as you can see, there's lots and lots of babies in here we've got to bring on. I've been feeding them the micro worms, the old Walter worms, as I always do, just as a starter food, and then mix in a little bit. I'll just put some in now, just squirt a few along the top there. You'll see them going in there in their thousands. There you go, and they'll stay alive in the water column for quite some time, for at least for a couple of days, 2-3 days, maybe even longer. And the shrimp will feed on these as well. They make excellent shrimp food. So if you're into your shrimp and you haven't tried feeding micro worms, Walter worms, banana worms, all that kind of stuff, your shrimp will absolutely go ballistic for them. So so all you shrimp keepers out there, and maybe some of you shrimp channels out there, you don't know about feeding micro worms to shrimp, but they're very, very well and readily accepted by shrimp. as you'll see, when those start to hit the bottom, the shrimp will start zipping around, picking them up and eating them. I always keep a few shrimp in there with them, especially when you've got as many as I've got in here now. You may have not seen it in the other tanks that I've been breeding on, but when you've got a lot of angelfish fry and things like that, and you have got a highish mortality rate, obviously they're going to be polluting up the water. So what you want to do is put a couple of shrimp in there if you can, if you've got them, especially the Neocaridina. They're a lot less susceptible to water change parameters and things. Drip acclimate them obviously very slowly before you put them in, over a couple of hours, just on a little drip line, and add them to the tank. And that way anything that dies, they will clean up. They're excellent little janitors, clean up crew, and they will clean all the little bodies up which you can't see, which fall in amongst the substrate, and they'll clean everything up and make it all look nice and clean. They'll get a nice feed, and they'll keep your water conditions nice and clear too. Okay, you can see there's a nice little crystal black down there. Now these are some of the old culls. I call them culls, I never cull anything. And you can see a super red down there, which is and I've got a couple of different ones, and I think I've got about 5 in total Neocaridinas in there, as well as the Neocaridinas, the yellow sakuras. But I've just put them in. Believe it or not, these guys down here, when I first set up the shrimp room, these are some of the first ones that I bred out, and they're they're well over a year and a half old now, and they've been in about 3 or 4 different tanks. They've been in the bench tank now since I built that was a few months back now, and they've been in there. They've been cleaning up around the place in there and keeping that nice and clean for the fish. And now they're in here doing a job as well. But they've been from tank to tank, and they're at least over a year and a half old now. I did sell off most of my other shrimp, but I kept the yellow sakuras because they are one of my favourites, and the cherries, and the blue velvets, which I have kept in another tank, but I haven't filmed those before. But I've got too many tanks. If I filmed everything, I'd be here forever. But yes, lots of little baby fry. I think what I'll do is I'll come out of the tripod and I'll try and get you a little bit of a close-up of the fry, and you may be able to see them taking the water worms out of the water. There you go. You'll have to just pick one out, follow him around and see what he eats. There you go, he had one. But as you can see, their little bellies are nice and full up. They absolutely love water worms. And what I do is as well now is I crush up bits of flake food, different things, and I add them to the water as well, and they'll slowly be picking off the water worms and also the other bits as well. Look at those little bellies, they're absolutely stuffed. You can see the colour from the actual food that I've been putting in there as well, those little orange bellies. It's a good time now as well to start feeding Artemia, the good old brine shrimp, freshly hatched. But it's good to give them a little wide variety of food while they're growing up, because they'll get nice and strong. Plenty of water changes, like I say, 2 a week, 50%. Make sure you suck it out very carefully, like I've said before, through an air stone so you don't suck them up into your bucket and throw them away, because they're super small still at this age. Take you down this side, you got some of the smaller ones down this side, which of the second brood. You can see those guys nailing those water worms as they come down through the water. They're funny little guys at this age, and as they get older, they start to elongate into that angel shape. They go through this funny little transformation. But it's nice to see, and you'll be on the journey as well, because I'll film them all the way through until they're pretty big. But it's nice to see them all healthy. Don't see any dead ones anywhere along the bottom or on the leaves or on the filters, so everyone's quite happy in there. They're little angels, look at that. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave it on that video now because it's about 26 minutes into it. I don't want to keep you too long. But as always, you're all stars, love you loads, take care, and I will see you on the next edition of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.